And oh, one, you no longer trust your emotions. What if everything you've been taught about being yourself is exactly what's holding you back? Throughout history, the most powerful individuals weren't the ones who followed their hearts. They were the ones who learned to silence it. And if you're on the path to real power, here's the first undeniable sign that you're changing. You no longer trust your emotions. To gain power, you must kill who you really are. That doesn't just mean changing your behavior. It means breaking your emotional compass and replacing it with a strategic one. At first, this feels unnatural, maybe even brutal. You used to feel deeply. Joy, guilt, hope, they weren't just emotions, they were signals. They told you what mattered. But now, those emotions feel more like distractions, traps even. You begin to see that emotions, while deeply human, are often liabilities in a power-driven world. Take Machiavelli's own words. A man who strives to be good all the time will come to ruin among the great number who are not good. What he's really saying is this: your feelings make you predictable. And in a world that rewards strategy over sincerity, being predictable is a death sentence. Leaders, conquerors, rulers, they all learned to suppress what they felt in order to do what was necessary. You might notice yourself growing colder, not in a cruel way, but in a calculated way. You pause before reacting. You analyze before empathizing. Where once you would have spoken up in emotional defense, now you choose silence, observation. You see power in detachment. This shift can confuse people around you. They'll say you've changed, and they're right. But what they won't understand is that this is the cost of transformation. You aren't trying to be cruel. You're learning that in order to lead, to protect, to win, you must remove your emotional blindfold. You begin to question every emotional urge. Is my anger useful here? Is this guilt earned or imposed? What do I gain by feeling this? This doesn't mean you become heartless. It means you become ruthlessly aware. Power isn't found in emotional chaos. It's found in clarity, even when clarity feels cold. Machiavelli's prince was not a man guided by morality. He was a man guided by outcome. If shedding tears didn't serve his goals, he wiped them away before they fell. If loyalty meant weakness, he abandoned it. If love made him vulnerable, he chose fear. And that's the blueprint of many real-world power players. Think of the modern executive who lays off thousands to save the company, or the politician who breaks promises to gain leverage. These aren't emotional decisions. These are sacrifices made on the altar of influence. The person making them likely once felt deeply, but they had to kill that version of themselves to do what had to be done. This internal kill is not a one-time event. It's a slow death of the self you once honored, replaced by a version of you who sees emotions as data, not destiny. You no longer let feelings make your decisions. You let strategy guide you. You let vision shape you. And in that transformation, the old you dies and the powerful you is born. To gain power, you must kill who you really are. And the first body to fall is your emotional self. Number 3, you redefine morality to fit your goals. Once your emotions are silenced and your mask is in place, the next line to cross is the one society draws in the sand: morality. Morality is a social invention, a tool created to keep people in line, to maintain balance, and to make society feel safe. But here's the truth: morality is flexible, and power bends it. The third sign that you're killing who you really are to gain power is this: you no longer follow morality, you redefine it. This doesn't mean you become evil. It means you stop playing by the rules designed to keep you small. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise." What does that mean? It means the right thing isn't always the smart thing. The good decision isn't always the winning move. And the person who clings to moral ideals in a world of ambition is the first one to be outmaneuvered. When you're transforming, you begin to understand that morality is often a luxury of the powerless. It's preached by those who can't afford to make hard decisions. But power demands sacrifice, and sometimes those sacrifices break the moral code. For example, you may have to betray an ally to secure a greater advantage. You may need to manipulate a situation to gain control. You may need to keep people in the dark for their own good, but really for your strategic benefit. Each of these acts, judged by traditional morality, would be condemned. But through the eyes of strategists, they are moves, not sins. This shift is uncomfortable at first. If you were raised to be honest, fair, and humble, you will feel like a traitor to your own upbringing. But slowly, you realize something Machiavelli understood centuries ago. Power rewards results, not righteousness. Think of historical figures like Winston Churchill, who had to make devastating wartime decisions that cost innocent lives to preserve the greater structure of victory. Or Steve Jobs, who was known for being ruthless in pursuit of innovation. These individuals weren't cruel for fun. They were ruthless with purpose. And that's the difference. You don't abandon morality just to serve yourself. You reconstruct it to serve your vision. You build a new personal code based on effectiveness, strategy, and impact, not emotional approval. Now, here's what happens when you take this step. People around you begin to question your integrity. They say you've changed. They whisper that you've become calculating or cold. But that's because they don't understand this level of the game. They're still living by the handbook. You're writing your own. This isn't about becoming a villain. It's about becoming the architect of your own path. And if that means bending a few commandments along the way, so be it. Because you understand now, rules are tools. And tools are meant to be used, not worshipped. To gain power, you must kill who you really are. And that includes the part of you that blindly obeyed moral codes that were never designed for people like you. Once you cross this line, there's no turning back. But on the other side lies the kind of power that most people will never experience, because they were too afraid to question what right really means. In '02, you begin to wear a mask on purpose. Once you stop trusting your emotions, the next move is inevitable. You stop showing them. Power isn't just about strength, it's about perception. And once you're no longer ruled by emotion, the second sign of your transformation appears. You begin to wear a mask on purpose. This mask isn't fake, it's strategic. It's not about lying to people. It's about revealing only what strengthens your position. You stop giving people direct access to your inner world. Why? Because every emotion you show, every truth you expose, becomes a potential weapon. And in the game of power, transparency is vulnerability. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He wasn't describing deception. He was describing survival. If you show the world exactly who you are, you give them the ammunition to destroy you. But if you control what they see, you control how they treat you. This mask can look like confidence when you're uncertain. It can look like patience when you're burning inside. It can look like loyalty when you're planning your next move. The point isn't to be dishonest. The point is to be in control. You start to realize that people want you to be emotionally available, vulnerable, real, not because it helps you, but because it helps them feel comfortable. But your job isn't to make people feel comfortable. Your job is to win, to lead, to dominate your space. This mask gives you power because it filters your truth. It lets you choose how you enter rooms, how you deliver messages, how you respond to attacks. You no longer act impulsively. You perform intentionally. Every move, every word, every expression becomes part of a larger design. And here's the twist. Eventually, the mask becomes you. It fuses with your identity. You begin to feel more powerful in the performance than in the honesty. You become less concerned with being yourself and more focused on becoming who the situation demands. Let's take an example from history. Julius Caesar, even while surrounded by betrayal, wore his mask of composure until the very end. He didn't react with fear or rage. He reacted with dignity. His control became legendary. Or consider modern leaders and CEOs who smile on stage while navigating billion-dollar crises. Not because they feel fine, but because showing weakness is never part of the plan. Machiavelli understood that perception is reality when it comes to influence. The world won't reward your raw truth. It rewards your ability to shape reality, and the mask is your tool. Now, some people will call this fake. They'll say you've changed. They'll miss the open version of you, the vulnerable one, the honest one. But what they don't realize is this. That version of you could never lead, never win, never survive the high-stakes game of power. That version of you had to die, and in its place stands a figure who controls their image, crafts their impact, and understands that identity is flexible, not fixed. To gain power, you must kill who you really are, and that means burying the version of you who felt obligated to be emotionally honest with everyone. This isn't just a strategy, it's an evolution. And when you wear the mask not out of fear, but out of design, you've taken a major step toward true power.